Hello everyone, happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and I want to welcome everyone to our weekly webinar, and of course the special welcome to the new people. And we'll just elaborate a little bit for the new people about the webinar. And if you read the title, your weekly trading plan, that's exactly what we're trying to do. What we do here is create a plan, pretty much. And as traders like to say, you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. And as I always say, it doesn't guarantee success, but definitely put things in more organized way. And in anything, not just trading, planning could be really improving results and at least eliminate chaotic or impulsive actions, especially in trading. So a few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade, and my overall experience in trading, it's 23 years, over 23 years now. I started as a prop trader back in New York. I did it for about 11 years, and then I moved into a less stressful environment. Of course, I continued trading, and I started to mentor and educate other traders, and currently, I'm very happy that I have an opportunity to work with customers of AvaTrade and help them in their process of trading. The agenda of the webinar is the same pretty much every week. We talk about indices, stocks, commodities, and currencies or Forex. And we'll talk a little bit about fundamentals. We'll talk a little bit about upcoming events. And that's what we do pretty much. A risk warning, you can find a full document at avatrade.com. What we do here, it's purely educational. Of course, we do not suggest any trades. And these are the channels that I would really recommend and encourage you to sign up. You have Telegram, you have Twitter, and my favorite, as I always say, YouTube channel. The daily updates and uploads to it. You can find a lot of educational materials. You can find a lot of tutorials. Most of the webinars, if not all of them, are being recorded and posted there. So don't worry if you missed the webinar, you can always find it on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel, click on that bell so you'll be notified. And of course, if you feel that this could be useful to your friends, share and make sure that they have access to it as well. Okay, now before we get to economic calendar, just a few words about the week that we just had. We had a lot of data, and that includes one of the important ones, the CPI, the inflation data, and it came less than expected. So the market got excited. We had a nice move in the market. We'll talk numbers when we get to the indices. Then we had PPI numbers, and then Friday we had some consumer data. And we had some mixed reaction on Friday, and we don't really know was it a turnaround or was it just a regular take profit before the weekend. Some stocks sold, some indices went down. We'll talk details when we get there. So this upcoming week we have a continuation of the earnings seasons, and we have a lot of data to pay attention to. So let's go quickly through the economic calendar. And again, just to remind everyone, it is important to know about the economic calendar. Whether you use it or not, that's your business. You can focus on things that relevant to the markets that you trade. Traders like to know about certain things coming out at certain times, so you can plan your trading. You can get out the trade, you can get in the trade, whatever the strategy you're using. So the idea is not to get caught by surprise by certain moves, especially big moves like interest rate decisions or NFPs or any other important events that could affect the market and create high volatility. And here, as I always say, I pick up the high impact events only. You can filter it. You can find the economic calendar on our web trader or the AvaGo app, and you can customize it. You can filter it, whatever you like to do. Here, I just take out the high impact events, and let's just go through it really quick. So we have on Monday all about China, and as you know, China's been not doing so great. So we have some gross domestic product or GDP data, industrial production data, and retail sales comes at the same time on Monday. Then on Tuesday, we have Bank of Australia meeting minutes. We'll have more understanding of their monetary policy going forward. We have retail sales, which is, I think, the most important data coming of the US next week. That's the retail sales. That's also on Tuesday. We have CPI or inflation numbers from Canada and also CPI numbers from New Zealand. And that's all on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have CPI numbers from UK, also very important. And there's a lot of issues, a lot of controversial things, including the government and everything else with the interest rate and inflation in the UK. Thursday, we have employment data from Australia, and Friday, retail sales from UK. Now, again, there's a lot more data there. What I do here, I just filter out the high impact. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to move now to the MT4 platform. And as we said, we had earnings season kicked in, and some banks reported. We'll get there in a moment. In general, we had a positive week, very strong week for the indices. Let's just take a look at indices really quick. So we had NASDAQ rose in this past week, a nice move to the upside. NASDAQ rose about 3.3%. As you could see here, we broke through this stagnation for a while. For a few weeks, we couldn't break that level, the previous level of resistance, and this week we managed to break it. And we had a very strong week. We went up about 3.3%. S&P 500 had also a good week, about 2.4% move to the upside. And Dow Jones was up 2.3%. So you could see here, Dow Jones is really struggling to break through this strong resistance here. This is the same level they had back in April, and we really fight this area. We have a hard time breaking. Even with the strong week, we still didn't break the highs of the previous week on Dow Jones. So that's just to pay attention to. Okay, China. We spoke about China. Let's take a quick look at China. As I mentioned, there's going to be some numbers this week. This past week was strong on the daily chart. If you take a look on the daily chart, we are above the 50 moving average over here. And Friday, though, we sold. We went back below this trend line, as you could see. That connected the highs of back in May. And then the next attempt to move higher was mid-June. And on Thursday, we tried to move and break through that trend line, and we came right back in. So a lot of weakness in Chinese economy. So we'll be watching it. Excuse me. We'll be watching this week. Nikkei also sold on Friday. Was trying to break out, and it came right back in. So, like I said, Friday was a little bit of a selling day, and it could be due to the weekend. Traders don't like to maybe keep the positions over the weekend. There was some profit taking going on. And let's see how we start this week. We continue with earnings. Now, speaking of earnings, on Friday, we had two major banks reported. That was Citibank and JP Morgan. And let's take a quick look how they did. Citigroup moved higher and opened higher with the gap. They both reported pretty good news, but then it sold. Citigroup sold pretty heavy, actually. And JP Morgan also gapped because they both reported pre-market. So reports, as I said, were pretty positive. And they gapped and they sold during the day. Now, I just want to read to you something that the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, what he said during the earning call. I'm going to quote what he said. The consumer is in good shape. They're spending down their excess cash. That's all tailwinds there. Even if we go into recession, we're going with the rather good conditions, low borrowing and good house price values still. Now, what he says here, it's not so positive afterwards. Here's war. There's war in Ukraine, oil, gas, quantitative tightening, unprecedented fiscal needs of government, QT, which we never experienced before. And I just think people should take a deep breath on that. We don't know if those things could put us in a soft landing, a mild recession, or a hard recession. And obviously, we shall hope for the best. His last sentence here, obviously, we shall hope for the best, doesn't look so encouraging. So I guess the market reacted to it. And he's right, the quantitative tightening is the opposite of quietening easing. So the Feds are really tightening the monetary policy. They selling or putting in the market all the securities that were bought through the years to help the market. So we don't really know how the market will be reacting to it. So he's reflecting in his words here that we don't really know and we should hope for the best. So doesn't look so encouraging, and let's see what happens. So that's as far as banks. Now this week we'll be reporting, of course, about 60 companies of S&P 500 will be reporting this week, and we have on Tuesday Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Lockheed Martin, one of the companies that are reporting on Tuesday. So let's take a look in Bank of America really quick. And the stock's been super weak. There was no really move on the upside. So reporting on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have big guys reporting, some of them at least. We have Tesla, Goldman Sachs, Netflix, United Airlines, and IBM. So let's take a look at some of them. Tesla has been holding strong since it all moved to the upside. We closed at 280.83 on Friday. So Tuesday report on Tesla. Goldman Sachs, not a bank. Also doesn't look so strong. Friday sold in sympathy with the other banks. Let's see how things work out for them on Wednesday earnings. Netflix is holding strongly here after this move to the upside, but we are seeing on the weekly chart with a lot of spikes, we're not really moving higher, and Friday was sold. So we did hit what we hit on Friday, high of 456, and we closed at 441. So again, all these stocks are reporting, and of course, during the reports or announcements of the earnings, we will see moves in the stocks one way or another, of course. And we have on Thursday, we have one of the stocks reporting, that's Johnson & Johnson, the pharmaceutical company. As you could see here, we had the nice move from 153 to all the way to 166. That was a nice correction to the downside, 2 upside days. And on Thursday, let's see how the earnings are. We're sitting right between the 50 and 100 moving average. Let's see what happens to Johnson & Johnson with the earnings report. Okay, so that's as far as earnings. Now, a few stocks I just wanted to mention. One of them is Teva. I've been talking about it a while ago, and I came back to bring it to your attention. The moment we were holding around 7. So we are slowly stepping higher. We broke through the 50 moving average, went the way to possibly test the 100 moving average. We closed at 822. First time recently we spoke about it around at $7, $7.20. Nice move, slowly we're stepping. And just to remind, or mention it to new people. We said that Teva, which is a generic pharmaceutical company, the stock's been traveling a lot between $8 and $11. So as we mentioned, it could repeat that upside move again, and slowly stepping higher. So that's as far as Teva Pharmaceutical. And AT&T stock's been selling, and I tried to find what's the story there. And one of the things that I found, the stock was downgraded by JP Morgan, and they moved it to neutral from overweight. And the stock fell on Friday, as you could see here, by 4.1% to 1450. And it says right here, according to Dow Jones market data, that this is the lowest close since February 23rd of 1994, when the stock closed at 1416. So it is weak, and I guess that. But if you look at the monthly chart, take a look. We're really holding this so far. So the low here was on October of last year. Low was 1443, and let's see what was the low so far. Yeah, 1427. We briefly broke through it, but we're still above it. So just for our information, the low of 1416 was recorded on February 23rd, 1994. So let's see if the stock continues and reaches that level. Okay, so that's as far as stocks and the U.S. indices. Let's really take a look really quick at European indices. We had a nice move on DAX to the upside for a few days, and Friday also it was a red day. UK FTSE, the same thing, trying to recover after this recent sell-off. And let's take a look at Nikkei. Nikkei had a nice move on Thursday and just erased it on Friday. It looks like we're having a hard time breaking through this 32,750, and a lot of it is related to yen as well. So as we said, we had the strong week. Equities had the nice move to the upside. Friday was a sell-off across the board, and we'll find, I guess, this week, was it just a normal correction and profit taking before the weekend, or maybe we'll be facing a little bit of a reversal and a continuation to this sell of the equity markets. Okay, let's move to commodities, and we start with oil and natural gas. So you could see oil had a nice move. We broke on when was it? On the 12th, we broke through the 200 moving average on the daily chart. We continued on Thursday, and then Friday came a sell-off, and we stopped right on the 200 moving average. So the question for the upcoming week, will we hold the 200 moving average, or will we sell off like we did back in April? Similar story, we were fighting it, and then we broke above it, and then we came right back. So we'll be watching oil for the upcoming week, and the 200 moving average should be our indication here. Natural gas. We spoke about natural gas. We pretty much speak about it every week. Last week we broke above the 260 level. We were holding nicely, and in the past few days we are below it. We closed on Thursday below, and then Friday we are below as well. We're testing the 50-day moving average. We closed at 254.50. So let's see what this week brings for natural gas, and of course it will be depending a lot also for oil and natural gas. Both of them will be depending what the equity market, what the global economy is doing the upcoming week. Gold. Let's take a look at gold. Gold had a nice move, and as we mentioned here, that we've been holding the 200 moving average, and if we were to go higher, we were to retest the 1955 level, and that's exactly what happened. On Wednesday, we moved above, we closed above. Thursday opening and close was about the 1955 level, and then Friday we sold and we closed closed right around that level. So let's see what this week brings to gold. Soft commodities. There are articles about El Nino all over the place, and they said that we might have some issues with commodities, especially agricultures. So something to pay attention to. Now, soft commodities. Let's take a quick look and take a look at wheat. A lot of actions here around these levels. We had move below, move above. We are kind of facing resistance now at the 100 moving average. Let's see what happens there. Soybeans are remaining strong after this move. They didn't really sell like wheat did and corn. Corn had a big sell-off, but it looks very nice over here, as you could see. I just want to bring back the idea of this level here of 497. If you take a look over here, as was a move started from here back in 2021, and we had a retest of this level in September 2021. If you remember, this is just for people that are new, that didn't see our webinar when we mentioned these numbers. So 497 and a quarter we hit back in September 2021, and we came back with a really intense sell-off a couple of weeks ago, and we closed below. And I just draw that level, and we said that we'll have a lot of actions. We'll have a lot of actions around this level, and we should be watching when we bring the price up below the level. And this is the first day that we actually closed above 497 and a quarter. So definitely worth watching this price action. Few scenarios. We could just run up straight. It might be hard to enter. We could retest the 497, have some actions, and see if we can build some support around here, or we can just dive right below it and continue lower, also possible. So let's see which scenario works this week. It looks very strong here, 2 consecutive days, pretty strong days on Thursday and Friday, and we closed above. So definitely corn is worth watching. And let's take a look at our cocoa. We've been talking about it also for a while. The commodity is holding strongly after all this move to the upside. We are playing with the previous resistance level that we faced back in 2015. Let's see how it works out. But it looks like we're trying to really build here. As you could see, we start really seeing lower lows and lower highs. Let's see how this week plays out. It could be that the trend might change to the downtrend, as you could see here, up till making the highs. We kept on making higher highs, higher lows, and definition of a change of trend. When things go the opposite, we have a lower lows, which we already did right here. This is the first confirmation of that, and we need to see maybe another 1 or 2 lower lows and lower highs in order to see possible reversal, or we might just shoot up and continue higher, also possible. So that's as far as commodities. Forex, dollar has been super weak in the past days. As you could see here, it was a huge sell-off, and that's of course started with the CPI numbers, and we broke through this trend line right here. We just dived straight down. So dollar is super weak. Let's see how this upcoming week will play for it. Of course, the other currencies are showing accordingly. Swiss franc has been super strong. I'm just gonna get to Swiss franc in a moment and show it against the other currencies and mention a few important things. So dollar has been weak against all the currencies. Take a look at the euro dollar. If you remember last week, we mentioned, I said the 110 could be a resistance. Well, we just flew through it. There was a intense sell-off in a dollar. A pound as well, super strong to the upside. USD ZAR had a nice fall over here. ZAR gained some strength. Of course, it's all dollar related. and only on Friday we had a little bit of a bounce. So USDs are definitely worth watching. We just broke through the all moving averages. On Thursday we broke below the 200, and the Friday we bounced and we closed above it. So if the dollar regains some strength, we might see actually continuation to the upside. If not, we might see another sliding to the lower level, maybe around here 1775, where we stopped back in March. So something to watch. Now, one thing, it's kind of interesting, even on the super weakness of a dollar, there's no positive move for the Turkish lira. As you could see here, it remains super weak. And if we talk relative strength, that means when the dollar regains, we might actually see continuation to the upside here. And another pair that I started to talk to you about for a couple of weeks is dollar Hungarian forint. If you remember, I mentioned it on the geopolitics and the behavior of the prime minister towards Ukraine and so on. So it was a nice move. As you remember here, we start talking about it around 340. We had a nice move. We almost hit 200 moving average. And when the weakness of the US dollar kicked in, the pair went into a straight dive. So again, the same thing we should be watching when the dollar, or if the dollar regains some strength, we might see another move to the upside. As of now, we did break below this recent support, so we might be actually hitting the around 328, 329 area, and that's the support. And also that level corresponds to the 200 moving average on this pair, something to watch. Now, back to Swiss franc. I was just trying to see Swiss franc, and I don't know how long you're trading, but I remember that day of January 15 of 2015 when Swiss Bank they decided to unpack or disconnect from a dollar, from euro, as they were packed to it for a long time, and then the Swiss franc went just skyrocketing. So I was just trying to see what's happening today, and something that I haven't look up for a while. So let's take a monthly chart, and this is the move that we had. We came on Euro Swiss. On that day, we had the low of 0.9741, and then we traveled. We actually reached on 2018. We reached a level before that action of Bank of Switzerland. And take a look. We actually playing with that level again after so many years. So interestingly, we should be watching what's happening here. We could be building some accumulation here and having a move to the upside, because the Swiss franc has been super strong against all the currencies. Take a look. It's all pretty here. We're way below that level of that 2015 action. Also, we're way below on the pound. Australian dollar way below. New Zealand dollar way below. So Swiss franc has been super strong for all these years, and let's see if that continues, or maybe as you know, the markets make history, some levels being met, and then we have a turnaround, things are being repeated again and again. So maybe at some point the Swiss franc will show some weakness, and we have a beginning of a new trend of Swiss franc being weak or starting to be weak against other currencies. As of now, it's really remaining I would say the strongest currency. Take a look at the only thing, it didn't hit that level against the dollar yet. As you could see here, back in January 2015, when I mentioned that event, we hit the low of 0.8445. We are a little bit less than 200 pips against 200 points or 2,000 points, depends how you look at it. We might actually continue till we hit there, but again, all these are speculations, but the idea or the logic is that after so many years we are at those levels, and a lot of actions are happening. So we could see a turnaround, or we could see a continuation. Definitely worth watching. And yen, if you remember last week, I mentioned that all the pairs against the yen had a nice move to the downside. We had a nice action there for a while, and the past 2 days we had a reversal. So again, it could be a temporary reversal, and then we'll continue seeing the strength in yen. Some pairs are just holding, some pairs are reacting in the opposite direction. Definitely worth watching the yen. And what I mentioned, that Bank of Japan has a tendency of surprising. So as of now, as you all know, there were no actions from Bank of Japan as far as the increasing interest rates, and anything could happen. They like I said, they are famous for interventions and other things. And one day we could wake up and learn that Bank of Japan just increased the rates, or that did some other actions to bring yen higher. Okay, that's as far as Forex. And let's take a look at Bitcoin. And as you could see, we mentioned it, that Bitcoin's been traveling between 30,000 and 31. We had some strong days. On the 13th, we tried to break out. And then the very next day, we sold to the same level where we started. So it looks like, again, the 30,000 has been holding for Bitcoin at 31, or we're just establishing probably a higher level of resistance here. The close here was 31,450, so the channel is increased to 1,500. So between 30,000 and 31.5, a lot of actions, a lot of accumulations, and let's see which way we go from here. Okay, so let's just summarize things that we mentioned. We are continuing with the earnings season. We have 60 out of S&P 500 companies reporting this coming week. That includes big guys like Goldman Sachs, Tesla, some airlines, and others. You can research or focus on things that are to your interest as far as the specific companies. We have retail sales from US, one of the key reports this upcoming week. We have reports from China, which is very important in these days, as everybody's focusing on China, seeing how things are going there. And we have 10 days till the next, I forgot to mention it, a very important thing. We have about 10 days till the Fed's decision. As of now, it's about 93% probability that there's going to be 25 basis points increase, and that's kind of priced in already. And since the last CPI data, there's an opinion on the market that this might be the last increase, and that's something that we'll be watching in the upcoming days. I want to wish everyone a great weekend, whatever's left, and of course, get some energy, prepare yourself for the upcoming week. It's going to be a lot of actions as usual. I want to thank everyone for attending, and God willing, we'll be back next week. All the best. Take care.